Welcome back to Just Roll Already. I am Daryl,
I'm your other host, Jeremiah.
and with us again is our friend Michael.
Hello, folks.
Okay, today's a little bit more looser. These are horror stories that we have dubbed Tales from the Couch in cue dramatic music somewhere. Okay. These are short stories that we have accumulated that we decided to share with each other and you guys with our, just kind of a loose talk kind of feel to it. So why don't we start it off with Jeremiah?
All right, I actually I have a perfect one about probably both of them were doing horrible things at the same time. One I find to be a role playing like taboo, but a DM was basically torturing a player, much to the akin of like how an immortal is tortured in like Highlander. Like there's this. Now let me give you some context. This DM and this player, who I'm not going to give out names, let's keep anonymity. The DM basically had his girlfriend taken by a player. And so he basically just kept killing this player every session. And the player like would make basically the same carbon copy of a character.
God.
He's like, I make the same character, but this one has a yellow cape. Or this one has a purple cape. This one has a red cape. And like, it's the same character over and over, played exactly the same. The name was like, it's sort of like Wario and Mario. Like the only difference is you just flip the letter up front and like invert the colors. Like,
okay, so it was. I'm guessing by the end of this, he was like going with shades of the color.
yeah, like, and he went through 40 different characters in I would say 20 sessions. Like he was dying twice a session. He had characters pre-made. After a while, he just started having characters pre-made, and you could see the anger, like how they looked at each other. Like there was like they were like fighting, but like with their minds, like it was inside their heads. Like there was like a mind meld happening. They're like throwing dice, like they're throwing daggers. Like it was this duel, this thing that was happening. It was like, wow, guys, do we need to be here? Or, like, do you need to go outside with like a sack, like a sock with nickels in it? Like, I mean, this is getting vicious. Bloody hell! Like we are just an audience for their gladiatorial bout. It was horrific, and that was probably one of the funnier, but one of the better kind of things I saw in in D&D. But like it was pretty horrific. Like you could the social barrier, like you could see just everything just destroyed. Like these two people they hated each other. You could taste the hate. It was thick. It was like a vermouth, like very thick, greasy wine. It was just tasting.
Oh gosh. My horror story, I have to say, would be the one that killed Call of Cthulhu for me. I mean, I don't think it's a bad game or anything, but it just left a really bad taste in my mouth after this, because the first time I played it, I had no idea what the game was about. I know about the Lovecraftian stories and such, but what happened to me was one of my friends who was part of a gaming group that I was with, and he said, hey, you're really big into roleplay, and I think and it's fun playing with you, but how about you join my group for like a couple sessions or something, because right now we're playing Call of Cthulhu, and I think it'd be fun for have you there. You'll probably die a lot, but it's one of those kind of games. And I say, you know what? Sure. Did some research on Call of Cthulhu game and said, oh, this is kind of interesting. I mean, you can't kill anything, and it's more in the lines of not when you die, but not if you die, but when you die.
I love that.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So I was supposed to meet up with the guy, and he was supposed to make characters with me, but instead we kind of got busy with our schedules, so he made one for me. He made me a Catholic priest that had some form of true faith. I didn't know how the mechanics work, but pretty much what happened was he gave me this little leaflet. You are sent by the Vatican with this group to help them and guide them to find whatever it is and smite these demons. So I said, sure, why not? So I played a religious zealot man who had true faith and had all these abilities for some weird reason. I don't even know if it was part of the rules, and had it to the point where I was very resistant to them because I believed in God so strongly in that game, and it was a lot of fun playing him. I mean, I had a bunch of crazy things. I mean, I one time, there was a deep one that was attacking us, and I didn't have any weapons or anything because I'm a priest. What am I going to carry? A letter opener or something. So I'm using my big, huge, giant, like, King James leather-bound Bible kind of thing.
The power of Christ will propel you.
Something like that, but it was on this boat thing. It was trying to pull us down, and I'm grabbing my book, and I'm screaming in Latin, banging this thing over the head with this Bible until it finally, like, left, and it was just absolutely nuts. And also I had like this Saint Fingerbomb thing I throw it, and it would drive them away and everything, even the stronger ones and such. But what really made me mad is after a fight or a conflict, I could probably more put it correctly. This one guy decided, hey, this guy is doing well. You know what? I'm going to teach him a lesson.
Gotta gimp him. With the character I made him, the power character I made him, I have to gimp him.
No.
Now.
It wasn't the Game Master that did this to me.
Oh.
No, it was a player.
Another player who's spiteful.
Yeah.
Was it the same one that invited you, or?
No.
Oh,
The Game Master was the Game Master one who invited me. But what happened was, when I was weakened at a point, the guy stabbed me. He killed me, like right then and there, cold hard blood. And he said, "Oh well, I thought he wouldn't say it," and blah blah blah. And he was just being a jerk to me.
He's like, "Oh, you're weak."
Yeah, well, he mainly killed me because he wanted my stuff. So, yeah.
The loots.
The loots.
Yeah, the fat loots.
Yeah, the fat loots. Well, the funny thing was the fat loots didn't work for him because true faith. And so I said, come on, man, that was a kind of a dick thing to do. And he said, well, it was what my character would have done. And I said, okay, you're a prick. But you know what? I'll play. Character after character after character, and it came to the point that every single time my new character showed up, they would kill him on the spot. So that kind of got really irritating for me. I mean, I should have did a table flip. I should have. But the problem was it was kind of like a park-style bench, so I couldn't really lift that thing off the ground. And that was pretty much my horrible experience with Call of Cthulhu. What about you, Mike?
What about the thousands of horror stories you could possibly conjure?
You tell us all the time about these horrific things that happen to you.
This particular story will delve into, this is a D&D 3.5 game, being run, of course, by, well...
Thou who shall not be gamed.
Who shall not be gamed.
Yes.
Well, we had been running this campaign, and, well, like most campaigns of this individual's, for not very long.
As usual.
As usual.
5 sessions max. Yeah.
If you can't tell already, we've all played under this guy, and some points all together.
Yeah.
A lot of horror stories will come from this, believe me. So anyways, our vaunted heroes are making their way into a cave where this legendary storyteller DM decides that he is going to describe the cave for about 45 minutes.
And there's a white dragon.
Yes. We're getting to there, but we have to go through another hour and a half to 3 hours of descriptions.
Oh, gosh.
Which, mind you, might come back to bite you, DMs.
Yep.
Anyways.
Too much detail.
After about 3 hours worth of descriptions of the cave and its stalactites and the position of like a piece of snow somewhere. Like snowflake.
He describes like how each individual snowflake say individual. He describes every snowflake.
We finally make it to the end of the cave where there's this huge hoard of treasure. Of course, there's no danger here, right?
Yeah,
folks?
of course. No, there's no treasure in a hoard of treasure, or no threats. Sorry,
because we know in D&D, nothing ever guards anything, right? Anyways, so. We're in there, and once he's made sure that we're all in there through his descriptions and us not actually getting to interact or do anything, then he springs forth onto us, mind you, our level 7 party, an Elder White Dragon. Level 7, folks. Elder White Dragon, not a good mix.
Look it up. You'll find out why.
You can take it. You can totally not get one-shotted instantly without any effort. Yeah.
So after like half the party is turned into icicles, the rest of us are fleeing for our souls, and... Oh no, this dragon apparently can teleport and is magically in front of us.
Oh gosh.
And it's guarding the middle of the cave so we can't get out. We're not going to survive. But thanks to our individual who shall not be gamed and his descriptions...
His 2 hours of descriptions. Yeah.
His actually it was about 3.5 hours of descriptions allowed us all to just... The leftovers here, the sorcerer, which I was... to realize that you can just cast a fireball onto one of these massive stalactites, and it might just happen to drop onto Elder Dragon. So it does, killing Elder Dragon.
Level 7.
Actually, it wasn't the only one. Actually, most of the ceiling for the cave collapsed on it and killed it. The DM was so furious with us that we killed his monster that was going to kill all of us, that he decided he was going to grant us no experience whatsoever.
Okay. That is a pretty bad one.
Oh, but finish about how it's not actually an Elder White Dragon.
That's right.
Yes.
He who shall not be gamed elected to tell us all that this not Elder White Dragon, who can, if you look this up, cannot... The dragon can cast Ice Wall, okay? Anyone who's seen the statistics for an Elder White Dragon knows, or the progression of White Dragons, they don't get Ice Wall until they're Elders. They never will.
Wow.
So, yeah.
No, what did it turn out to actually be, though? What he's like, no, it wasn't an Elder White Dragon, it was actually
He was trying to say it was a juvenile White Dragon.
that just so happened to be the size and look and everything of a Elder White Dragon.
Yes, with the health.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think we'll probably each tell one more.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll start with Jeremiah again. We kind of do round table here.
Horror stories. Actually, you know what? I can start with a good one. Actually, this is my very first session was a horror story, which I liked. Little background, I'm 21. I've been gaming since I was 8 years old, so I've had about 13 years of gaming, and that 13 years, my probably biggest horror story was probably my first session when I was 8 years old. I played a albino cleric by the name of Orzavha's Sunshield of the god Palor, because if you're an albino, you worship the sun god. And I was new to it, and really, they kind of made my character for me, because they're like a druid, a fighter, and a monk. And they're like, well, we need a fourth, and we need a healer. Hey, little kid, you ever play D&D? I'm like, no. So, I'm like, all right, cool, let's roll this up. So they just basically made me a carbon copy Healy cleric, and we went to town. Now, I didn't really understand the whole concept of, like, austerity when it comes to being, like, this cleric, and, like, oh, I gotta, give to the poor and help folk and all that. I was a glutton. When I was a little kid, I was a fatty. So, like, I reflected that in-game by, like, buying food, just so much food. I had, like, 50 days of cheese, 2 gallons of wine, 30 days of trail rations, 10 pounds of jerky. Like, I had a wagon. Like, I bought a wagon of food from, like, this dwarf, and I just loaded it on food. Like, I would never... There's no way my character would ever eat this amount of food, and I wouldn't share it with anybody. And we're going down the road, and we come across some fur bogs and some gnolls, and they're like starving. They're like emaciated. They're all like rib cages and stuff, and they're like, "We need food. Feed us." I'm like, "No, like I'm not like no. This is my stuff." Like I was like so like this is my loot. You can't have any of it. I just spent like 50 gold on all this. I just spent like 1/3 of my character's starting gold on food. You can't have any of my food. I know you're starving. I don't care. I'm not like donating to FEMA. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
And so they just destroyed me. Like no party members helped me. Like they just ran up and just took me every which way they could and just annihilated me and took my food. And the DM's like, I'm sorry. It's like, well, dude, what? And like, you also lose your cleric powers because your god's angry and all this. And they like ripped up my backpack, and all I had was like a bedroll left. And I asked the half-orc monk. I remember he had like 15 feet of rope. I asked him for a little bit of rope so I could use it to fashion my bedroll into like a makeshift backpack. And I remember he cut off like an inch of rope and handed it to me. He's like, "There's your rope." And it was like my first time cutting my teeth in D&D or in any RPG was that session, and like how they just let my cleric at the age of 8 just get chain-banged on the side of a road basically by a bunch of monsters. That's really what happened to this little kid. That's really what they did to this little kid. Like they're like, let these monsters take this kid every which way and take his food and all his stuff and destroy it, and also let's make him lose his god and lose all his cleric powers. First session, level 1, bam. Like, that was a really brutal way. And also, by the way, can we all, who would like to guess the DM of this session?
He who shall not be gamed.
Yeah, that was the one I cut my teeth on at the end.
It sounds like you are used as a cleric pinata.
Yeah, they wanted a healer, and then they just annihilated it just because he's a little fatty, selfish over food.
Okay, well, you know what's funny? Here comes another he who shall not be gamed. Because, for me, he who shall not be gamed wasn't running the game, he was playing the game. And this is my first time playing 3.5. I had no idea how the game ran. I had experience with White Wolf, some of their games there, but I never played Dungeons & Dragons, and I have to say it was absolutely crap what happened. So my buddy was running the game, and he was telling me like, oh yes, and this big huge giant story of destiny and high adventure and so on. This is going to be wonderful for all of you to get along. The guy didn't put any... He Who Should Not Be Gamed is one of those people, if you don't put any restrictions on him to be good, he's going to be evil as possible.
Not like a lawful evil. No, we're
No.
going like chaotic evil. Like,
No, he's going to be the biggest jerk out there, even if
It's
he's lawful.
whatever he wants evil.
Yeah, whatever he wants evil. Even a cleric with whatever he wants evil. So, here we go. So, I was playing a half-elf rogue. No idea how it worked, no clue what they were able to do. Mind you, I only had experience with playing the roles of characters, not figuring out how Dungeons & Dragons work because I was so used to heavy RP. So, I'm role-playing and role-playing and role-playing with this whole thing, and I mean, can you even blame me that I wouldn't quite fully understand how this entire... Stop laughing at me!
That was the greatest catch in the history of man. You, sir, are a quarterback with the highest resilience and skill. You caught that going downfield, and you spiked it. You won the game. Oh.
Okay. Whew.
Anyways,
It's been a long night.
oh
Okay,
my god.
Okay.
But can you believe? Yes.
All right. Almost slipped there.
That was the best Freudian slip ever. But you caught it though. You caught that football. You did not fumble.
Touchdown.
Okay. Whew. Okay.
And then
So he comes riding in on his amazing white horse with his long black hair, describing himself in the next 2 hours.
he really misses that hair he had, doesn't he?
Yeah, it kind of does. But then he started describing how everything... He pretty much made this whole lie thing up and started bullying the GM. And I finally said my rogue, knowing that, hey, these people this is my community. Quit it and leave them alone. So he says, well, you know what? This man just tried to attack me in front of everyone, made a bluff check, and then everyone believed because he bullied the GM. Well, let's just say it continued on to the next thing. Whoops, sorry. On to the next thing. He then suddenly said that then I should be his slave, blah, 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 and everything else. And I started going against him, and I started thwarting every little bit of detail he started talking about, saying, no, you are a liar. And I said, no, I have witnesses here, here, here. On top of that, this birthmark here, I've always had it. Because in the game, there was a birthmark that we all shared that made our destinies tied. Well, I was in prison regardless of the fact because of his 4-hour-long debate and role-playing with my 2-minute. I was imprisoned, where he proceeded to pretended to look like another prison guard, poison me to death, and then do it again for the next few times. Good times, good times. So, yeah, again, first-time session thing, I almost quit role-playing there immediately. But thanks to my friends, I managed to keep into it. And now for the final story of the night. Is this another He Who Shall Not Be Game story?
Affirmative.
Oh god. So it's not Tales from the Couch, it's Tales from the He Who Shall Not Be Gamed.
I'm sure we all have horror stories elsewhere, but just seems tonight we have a lot of commonalities.
Yeah.
I'm about to reveal a legendary tale of epic role-playing phenomenal magic.
Oh no, that White Dragon one's pretty good, sir.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there because based on his descriptions of He Who Shall Not Be Game, will you be able to tell a story?
Oh. That's...
Well, we'll kick this thing off proper. About 2 weeks into this campaign, I was spending about 6 hours on a couch and role-playing for about 15 minutes at this point.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So I elected that at that point I would start... I'd give it a little bit of a try, maybe like 1.5 hours, and then I would just start leaving. And finally I forced the hand of He Who Shall Not Be Gamed to actually include me into his game, which he didn't want to do in the first place, apparently. So he gives me this epic position in the campaign. Started off by grabbing my character with his demon named Hezrau, teleporting me, which, by the way, after the fact I had to inform the all-powerful DM that he could not do without killing my character outright.
Because when a outsider does teleport, there's weight restrictions and size restrictions. And
That is correct. And in order to do it, about half my body would have been left back where we started. The
Teleport,
other half would have
yeah.
been to his epic location.
think the movie The Fly. That gives you an idea. Teleporter problems. Yeah.
About half an hour, 45 minutes worth of arguing the rules of the game with the DM who didn't understand them.
Again.
And he takes me to this magical elf village where I'm captured, and then I spend like the next 3 or 4 sessions worth captured, doing nothing, and him reminding me that I play a critical role in the campaign, and I was captured and spending I think out of the 6 hours worth of gameplay per session, I went down to about 5 minutes worth of gameplay. It was just to check in on. Yep, I'm still captured.
Sir, you are playing the critical role of keeping that seat warm. We need you there. Stat, do it.
Well, of course, the rest of the party was out having epic adventures, kind of, because they still were under the subject of.
So you were, you were putting GM timeout.
That's effectively what he does. Like,
Yeah,
I was
GM
there until
timeout.
I quit the actual campaign and just did whatever I was going to do at that point.
It's perfect. It's a perfect example of like why you don't split the party. But he sort of splits the party intentionally for punishment. Like we know what happens when you split the party. Someone kind of gets left behind for a while. He does that knowing that that's going to happen. Just to.
Well, this is the kind of example of a person you just don't want to game with. If he's a player, he's gonna kill you because you don't show him respect, or he sees you showing no respect.
Power trip.
Yeah, power trip overall. As a game master, he does the same thing too.
Which is worse because he has the golden rule under his arsenal.
Yeah, you cannot fight the game master, but you can punch him repeatedly.
He can fudge everything.
Yes, he can, and he does. But I think that's going to do it for this horrific stories of our Tales from the Couch about He Who Shall Not Be Gamed, and my one story of not about He Who Shall Not Be Gamed.
Insert maniacal laughter here.
Yeah, whatever.